Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Morning Live. As we do every single Netball Friday, we focus on the sports of netball. And this week we have a special guest and Spar Proteas Assistant, Coach Dumisani Chauke in studio. Good morning, Dumisani. Looking lovely. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Busiwe. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All right, so where I want us to start our conversation, Dumisani, is we know that this is going to be the first Netball World Cup on African soil. It's such an immense opportunity, and the pressure that comes with it is a lot. But more than that, this is also an opportunity for us to inspire future generations and to just elevate the sport of netball in South Africa. How does that make you feel as a woman that's literally gone from Limpopo, Kamalamlela, to being a player, to being an assistant coach? Just this moment, it's so big for us not to seize it as a nation.
It's humongous. How am I feeling? I am feeling excited and nervous, and you can just sum all that up in a bit of anxiety. I mean, it's a big moment. It's a historic moment for us as South Africans, as Africans, you know, to welcome the world to our shores for the very first time for a Netball World Cup. So tiny little girl from a small township of Malamulele. Today, here we are. We're talking about the first Netball World Cup in South Africa, and I'm part of that story. So it's a humbling experience as well.
Speaking about being part of that story, there's also a lot of pressure on you as the assistant coach. Let's talk about how difficult it's going to be for you and Norma to make that final selection. Because firstly, tell the viewers at home how many players you're taking into camp and how many make the final team that will represent South Africa in the World Cup.
Well, firstly, it's a huge task because, our selection is purely based on performance, and everyone is currently performing tip-top because everyone wants to make the team. So we do have a squad contingent of 21 players, and we are looking at selecting a final 12 plus 3 reserves. So the reserves only come in should there be an injury. So a humongous task. We do have some of our players, playing their talents out in the UK Super League, and we do have Spar Proteas playing brilliant netball down in Australia at the Suncorp Super League as well. So we do have our hands full. I mean, our local team, our local girls as well, just recently, showcased what they're capable of doing down in Polokwane during the TNL this past long weekend. So it's a huge task. We literally talk every day and we're like, this one, what about this one and this one? We're like, oh, wait, I can't, So we're just looking forward to all coming together down in Cape Town. We fly out on Sunday and we'll have the girls hard at work for 2 weeks. And by the end of that training camp, we have to name our team, as the deadline for World Netball is the 14th of June. So we were literally counting down to selecting our final team to represent South Africa in Cape Town.
But Dumisani, it's a good headache to have, just having a lot of good players that you can select from versus it's
a good headache. I mean, as coaches, you always want to be spoiled for choice. It's a good headache. It's one that you always welcome, because that just shows the immense talent that we do have in the country. And also just bearing in mind that some of the girls in the squad are quite young, so it's an exciting moment, because as you know, every 4-year cycle with the World Cup, you do have a couple of players retiring. So with us having quite a number of youngsters in the squad, gives us a bit of a relief in that, they've been in the system, they've been training, they know how it works up there, and they'll just be ready to just take on that baton and keep it moving.
In terms of the preparations of the team, you mentioned the fact that we've got players playing abroad, we've got players in Australia. What would you say, and where would you say we are in terms of the preparation? Are you happy perhaps with the amount of game time we've had leading up to this World Cup, or would you ideally have liked to have more game time?
As a coach, you're never really fully satisfied with anything that happens on the court. You always have something you want to work on and something you want to improve on. So game time is very important, and also the standard and the level of the game time that you're getting is also quite important as well. So we would have loved to have more game time on an international level. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but we'll take what we get and we'll prepare the girls as best as we can.
You speak about, as a coach, you'll always want things to be done differently on the court and in the field of play. What are some of your major concerns going into this World Cup from a playing perspective, from what you've seen?
Well, it's not really a concern. It's just an area that we identified that we needed to improve on. I mean, there are times where we play brilliant netball And then next thing, it's as if everyone's focus or concentration levels, sort of like dips, and that's when we start making a lot of unforced errors, and that's where we lose ball. And one thing that we also want to improve on is our conversion rate in terms of turnovers. Turnovers is when the opposition makes a mistake and we pick up the ball. We need to be able to play disciplined, clinical netball to be able to get that to our shooting circle, so that we also secure the goal. So those two areas are two areas that we've been focusing on, and our girls are starting to get it. And by the time that first center pass tips off in Cape Town, we should be ready to go.
And we are certainly looking forward to that. But Dumisani, you are someone that has been with this team for a very long time, from being a player to now being an assistant coach, and you've seen the progression of the team. In terms of just closing the gap, in terms of those top tier nations, your Australia, your New Zealand, your England, what would you say we as South African attribute that success to, because we know that we have managed to close that gap?
Yeah, first and foremost, we needed to catch up to the rest of the world, and we've been able to do that the past 3 to 4 years, catch up to the latest trends and the latest training methods that will assist us and help us become competitive. There's one thing participating, it's something else being competitive, and we've started being competitive. I mean, we need to be a bit more professional and allow our girls to make a career out of netball.
Yes.
If you as a player have to worry about your studies from 8 o'clock until 4 o'clock, and then now you must still go fit in netball training in the evening, where players in other countries, they play netball day in and day out, there'll always be a gap. So I think Netball South Africa is doing their best to try and assist our girls to have a career in netball, and also make sure that we do have the resources, whether it's financial, it's facilities, it's equipment, it's human capital, to ensure that our girls, they have tip-top support as well to be able to perform and compete at that level.
Now we talk about some of the challenges that you've encountered leading up to this World Cup. Would you say the fact that Coach Norma is based in Australia is one of the challenges? I mean, we live in a virtual world now where anything can be done almost virtually, but how has that impacted the preparations of the team, if at all?
No, nothing at all. I don't think it has impacted them, because she's constantly here. I mean, she and Nicole were here. Diamond Challenge. After Diamond Challenge, we had a camp in December. January, we came in, we had a quad series. Feb, we flew out to Australia. March, we had a 2-week camp. April, the girls had a bit of a rest. We released them to their teams. Released them to their teams to prepare for TNL. Now all the players are out, playing for the different teams. Now we're going to camp again for 2 weeks. I don't think it's had any impact at all.
In terms of just netball in South Africa, you and I were there when Pep was launching the mini netball series. How important is that for us as a country? And before we run out of time and I have to say goodbye to you, what is next for Dumisani? Because you've gone from player to assistant coach. Are you now going go?
Well, let's start with the Pep Mini Netball. I think it's quite important to always encourage our youngsters to dream already at that level, and make it fun for them to dream and play the sport, because that's where we catch them, and then we need to keep them in the system right throughout. That's number one. Number two, what's next for me? I don't know, but whatever it is, I'm ready for it. Whatever comes. I think immediately after World Cup, what's next for me is a break. I need a break for just a bit from everything. It's been quite taxing, mentally, emotionally, physically. It's just a mini break. Take care of Dumisani.
Or whether it's a mini break or it's coaching next for you in full capacity, Dumisani, you've done amazing work, and good luck to you and the team.
Thank you so much.
That is Dumisani Chauke, former Spar Proteas player and the current assistant coach of the Spar Proteas, talking all things netball on this Netball Friday.